Good morning, America. Welcome to another edition of the MOG Radio Hour. It's definitely not an hour, maybe 15 minutes. MOG is material other than grapes, and I'm Johnny Cigar. We just surpassed the 10 million subscriber mark. If I said it, it must be true. So that means about 9.9 million of you will be disappointed to see that I'm starting the show today instead of Jonathan Cristaldi. Well, tough times call for tough measures. So, like some of Cristaldi's longtime loyal clients, I've furloughed the guy. He doesn't even have access to his wine cellar. I got the keys. And now that I'm in the driver's seat, let's make some podcast magic and win us a Peabody or a Golden Globe. And helping us inch closer to podcast fame is my guest today, Jeff Morgan. Jeff Morgan, who? Who cares? I say. I Googled Jeff Morgan just before the show, and this one could be an American businessman or an electrician from Marin County. So, which one are you, Jeff?
Well, if you ever saw me work in electronics, you would know I am not the electrician. I wish I were a better businessman, but I'm afraid I'm just a winemaker.
I was only joking, just breaking the ice with you. Cristaldi told me all about you. He actually used the word curmudgeon about 15 times in 5 minutes. He says you should have stuck to a career playing the saxophone. So you were a musician?
Yes, I was a curmudgeon musician. And I want to just say, by the way, you call your thing MOG? Materials other than grapes?
Yeah, that's what Cristaldi calls it.
I know you're interviewing me, so I'm going to let you interview me. But I need to tell you that in your honor, Johnny, in your honor today, I am drinking MOG. It's made totally with only materials other than grapes. It is a local gin, Griffo Distillery in Petaluma. And it is made with their fabulous gin, a little bit of lemon from my backyard Meyer lemon tree, and that sprig of green stuff right there, that is rosemary from the garden also.
Sounds kind of dirty.
No, dirty would be with olive juice.
Who is the best saxophone player in the world?
Well, it depends what style you like. It's kind of like wine, right? It depends what style you like. Living or dead? Probably living would be Sonny Rollins, still alive and one of the greats, the all-time greats. Dead, one of the all-time greats would be Stan Getz. And of course, how could we forget John Coltrane, possibly the greatest to have ever lived, except maybe for Charlie Parker.
If you were a real Democrat, you would have said Bill Clinton.
I am a Democrat, but not a real one, because I actually know what good saxophone playing is.
So these are your wines, and look.
You never know what the wine is that the winemaker makes. How come now you know?
The president of the United States, our God-fearing President Grump, he sort of tipped me off. He was recently seen holding a Bible in front of a church, and it got me thinking about these wines. They look awfully suspiciously religious. So what's going on here? Are you in cahoots?
First of all, the name of the wine is Covenant. And covenant is a word that appears in the Bible, and it refers to a special connection between God and everybody else. What was the question again?
They look really like church wine. Is that what you make?
Well, if you stop and consider where the church came from, everything the church, of course, does was invented by the Jews, and including Jesus. So Covenant is definitely a kosher wine. I would call it a Jewish wine. That's the Red Sea. It's a kind of a reference to the parting of the Red Sea in the Bible. What about the other one there? That other one there with the next to the pretty one.
Did you say kosher wine?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I said kosher.
Oh, God. And I bet you're going to tell me that your wine is actually good, right? And that even though it's kosher, it's only touched by people who keep the Sabbath, and it's really made from great grapes, and it's probably a lot better than all those Napa crap made by those 100-point idiot winemakers. Like,
what is kosher wine? Well, first of all, you pronounce Julien Fayard wrong. It's Julien Fayard.
I don't care about French people. I want to know about kosher wine.
Kosher wine. So kosher wine is a wine that's made, paying attention to Jewish dietary rules. And there aren't too many of them that we have to pay attention to. Really, it's one very symbolic rule. And I think you mentioned it. You got it right, Johnny. Just like you get everything right. You got it right. It's about who touches the wine. You want to be kosher? You got to be Sabbath observant to touch the wine. That's all.
But
Very
wait
simple.
a minute. Are these American wines?
Well, some of mine are. You have a selection of my kosher wines behind you. Some are actually from Napa Valley, and some are from Sonoma, and some are from Lodi, and some are from Israel, which is where all that religious stuff started.
Israel, you make wine in Israel. Hey, I understand that part of the winemaking process in Israel is that you have to drag the wine in bags attached to heavy lumber, carried by a man to the Wailing Wall, and then you let pilgrims, weep all over it before bottling. Is that how it works?
It's a little like that. First of all, we learned a lot from Jesus, because remember, Jesus turned the water into wine.
I wish he would have turned this water into wine, because really it's a rosé that I'm drinking that just kind of tastes a little bit like water, but it's got a Red Sea on it. What's that mean?
Like, as in the parting of the Red Sea.
I don't get it.
You and Robert Parker, what can I say? He didn't get it either until he thought about it for a while. I don't know why you're drinking it in a champagne flute. That's because you're probably Johnny Cigar. What was the question, Johnny?
You and your wife, Jody Morgan, you used to live in St. Helena. I understand that Bill Harlan, he wanted you out, hates the fact that your wine tastes better than his. So you relocated to Berkeley to spend what? To spend your days riding with millennials?
It's a good question. I don't even know where to go with this. I can tell you, St. Helena is a great place to watch the grapes grow. But if you want to do anything else besides go to the 5 restaurants that are in town, it's pretty boring. We thought about moving to Napa, but we missed the exit. So here we are in Berkeley, just a little bit farther south. It works.
In Cristaldi's kitchen, he has cookbooks by you and Jody, and I looked at them. They're not very Italian, so I wasn't interested.
I'm going to let you in on another secret. And any Italians listening should listen closely. All Italians are Jewish. Why do I know this? I know this for a fact, okay? Because 2,000 years ago, when the Romans conquered Jerusalem, they took 75% of the population in slavery and exported them to Rome to be slaves. But in those days, you were only slave for a generation or so. Then they would set you free. And so all those slaves intermarried with everybody else, all the native Romans and Italians, and that's why Jews and Italians all look alike, because they're all the same people.
Yeah, well, we have to pause for our sponsor break, so I just want you to sit tight for a moment, and we'll get our sponsor in here.
I just ranked the top 200 songs I ever wrote, and this one inked in at 199. Don't be a schnorrer, don't be a shonda, drink your covenant wine. Stop your kvetching, stop your kvelling, drink your covenant wines. At my bar mitzvah, we danced the hora, and we drank covenant wines until the DJ went home. Mazel tov, Jeffy boy.
Now that's a guy with a real musical career ahead of him. Unlike my guest, Jeff Morgan, the winemaker.
I have a musical career behind me.
Career behind me. Now that's a guy with a real musical career behind him?
No, I am. He's a genius.
What does that make you?
I'm a musical failure.
Who blew your last horn on a bunch of kosher wine that Robert Parker says is the best kosher wine on planet Earth? Isn't that funny?
I thought it was pretty funny. It helped sales.
What about Cristaldi? Let's talk about him as a writer. Will he ever be as good of a writer as Robert Parker?
Well, I think Cristaldi actually is quite a gifted writer. The problem is he can't taste wine. That's his, he just can't taste anything except maybe Red Sea Rosé. That he's good at. Oh, wait a second. No, excuse me. I just confused Cristaldi with Johnny Cigar. No, Cigar can't taste anything. Cristaldi's a pretty good writer because I taught him everything he knows, right?
He can't write his way out of a ugly wine bottle.
He tells a story, which is fantastic. And I don't know, that's what it's all about. It's not about what the wine tastes like. It's about what it represents.
I haven't read a thing he's written.
Do you read at all?
That's a great question. But I'm the one asking the questions. Last question.
Are we done already? Wait, I'm not finished.
Last question, Mr. Morgan. Do you mind if I pass over these wines to the neighbor? You get it?
That was cute.
Seriously, last question.
What's the last question?
Best kosher wine pairing for bacon.
Well, lamb bacon is kosher, so I would strongly suggest that Red Sea Rosé you're drinking goes with everything. Rosé.
Okay, sing it with me.
I'm with you.
There's a dinosaur knocking at my door, knocking 1, 2, 3. There's a dinosaur knocking at my door, and he wants to have Shabbat with me. My guest today was businessman or electrician Jeff Morgan, and boy, I'm just gonna sit here and sip on this Jesus water.